Kia ora guys, welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max and I'm the host of this channel. Yes, believe it or not, it is me. I've just had a bit of a shave for a bit of a short film that I've been acting in and directing, hence why I haven't uploaded a ridiculous amount in the last few weeks or so. I'm going to review South Africa and the All Blacks' encounters over at Ellis Park Stadium and Mbabela Stadium because the Springboks really did make me believe that they are still on track to win the Rugby Championship. A big thank you to all of my patrons and returning subscribers. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to me if you enjoy my content. I'm going to break this video down into the structure of quite a few things. I'm going to have a bit of a chat to you guys about the defensive functionings of the two teams. I'm then going to break down each team's attack, each team's performance in the ruck, then I'll pull up a few stats on discipline and the set piece as I'm concluding this video and giving my verdict on the future of Jacques Nienaber's side and whether Ian Foster, I guess, has done enough to retain his role as the All Blacks coach, as many, including myself, have been putting a lot of pressure on Fozzie's shoulders. First off, we're going to talk about the defence of the two teams. So, since Warren Gatland stepped down from being Wales' head coach and didn't have his contract extended after 2019, Jacques Nienaber has almost taken over as the head coach that is king of the counter in World Rugby. South Africa's got a very predictable attack that I'll get on to later in the video, but their defence on the other hand is systematically designed to break down their opponent's attack because the basics of their defence is founded in Jacques Nienaber and his team all researching the crap out of their opponents. Pieter-Steph du Toit often floats around as a rogue element who can pretty much position himself anywhere in the defensive line he wants to, whereas just two players, similarly to Ireland, guard the backfield, leaving plenty of space in behind for chip kicks, whereas if you break the line, you're pretty much set to score against South Africa. During the 2019 World Cup, Duane Vermeulen did a similar role to Rassie Erasmus's South Africa. Duane Vermeulen would always stand behind a ruck to coach his teammates on which defensive position to take. These days under Nienaber, Frans Malherbe does a very similar thing, as he's not the most mobile player, so he's, I guess, getting his stepping stones into a coaching career all set, as I think he's got a high IQ and is going to do very well as a coach later on. But yes, that's what the 50 test veteran does, and that's what the former World Player of the Year does, and that's the basics of South Africa's defence. Scott McLeod took over as the All Blacks defence coach in 2017 for Steve Hansen, and Ian Foster has retained McLeod to be the All Blacks defence coach. The All Blacks have very different defensive ideals to South Africa. Their defense is pretty much based around tackling as accurately as possible, whereas they always have fringe guards at the breakdown to stop opponents from sniping at the ruck, and because they tend to have a lot of players in their defensive line, that does leave them a bit vulnerable and doesn't perhaps give them the shots they deserve at winning turnovers. Their strategy, I guess, is basically if you can't compete for a ball, don't bother, but there's far more to the breakdown than winning the turnovers. It's very important to slow ball as well. For the next part of this video, I'm going to be talking about South Africa's attack. There isn't really much of a need to analyse the tries they scored in the first test of the Rugby Championship. So what we're essentially going to look for in South Africa's tries in the first test is the cluelessness from the All Blacks, and that is what allowed for South Africa to score their tries in the first test. I'll touch on this later in the video, but a lack of ruck presence in the 8th minute is the beginning of phases leading up to Kurtley Aronza's try. To begin, Handré Pollard boots the ball up high between Caleb Clark, Rieko Ioane and Beauden Barrett, and Barrett then knocks on due to miscommunication. Having forfeited his position on the wing, because Jordan's in the backfield, Caleb Clark leaves Kurtley Aronza completely unmarked, being instead drawn to Arm, who is already being tackled. Lucanio Arm initially hesitates to throw the offload, but eventually does so. This is a pre-rehearsed move, and Aronza knows exactly where the ball is going. The All Blacks' lack of ruck presence is also noticeable ahead of South Africa's second try. Tyrell Lomax is the only tight 5 forward there to stop Stephen Kitsoff winning a turnover in the 80th minute, but as I said before, I'll talk on rucks more in depth later. Havili throws a low pass with the tight 5, forcing Finlay Christie to help Lomax clear out. Va'i regathers and luckily carries well. Christie and Mwanga set the attack of the next phase, but Sam Cane fails to withstand South Africa's rush defence, with Willems' tackle blunting Kane's carry. Kane is put off the ball and throws a shocker to Frizzell, who is never going to catch such a high pass. It goes backwards off his shoulder and LaRue immediately pounces. He's a back, so was always going to win the race to the ball considering the forwards you can see around him. South Africa, their defence is almost used as an attack. As I've said before, their defence is very similar to Andy Farrell's Ireland. They have a lot of rushing up and pressing up when they don't have the ball. South Africa's attack was that of high opportunism, and it was designed around the research on the opponent's flaws, as I said earlier in the video, with massive errors from the All Blacks playing a role in many Springbok attacking plays, although we began to see pre-prepared moves in their second test tries. In the 8th minute of the second test, the Boks have remained patient on defence until Pieter-Steph du Toit, usually as I said a one-man pod with free range around the pitch, notices Richie Mwanga behind a 3-man pod. The All Blacks 3 or 4-man pods, depending on the exact pod structure they use, which this year so far is normally a 2-4-2. I've got a bit of a graph of that as you can see. With this 3-man pod, Du Toit sees that Ethan de Groot's arms are positioned backwards. Du Toit knows that Mwanga will collect the pass from de Groot and look to send through a strike runner towards South Africa. With the All Blacks on the back foot, Du Toit correctly reads Mwanga's pass to Lomax and runs away with the intercept before a try-saving tackle from Geordie Barrett. If not for Mwanga and Jordan getting back to hold Arm up, that's pretty much a guaranteed try for South Africa because of the rogue element in that defensive line that is Du Toit. With a lack of opportunities to use their driving maul, South Africa had to work hard and draw the All Blacks defence into the thick of the action. In the lead up to Arm's try in the second test, we see plenty of All Blacks drawn into the maul. Because of this, they only begin to run wide after Hendricks goes wide to Willems, who is now moved into the 10 channel with Jesse Creel off. With Hondre Pollard having moved to 12 because of this injury, he slots in at second receiver, linking up with LaRue, now at 15, to send Arm beyond Caleb Clark's defensive positioning. Having to make the tackle side on because of being drawn further into the field, Clark falls off the tackle and Arm drags Jordan over the try line. The drawing of defenders also played a huge role in Mapimpi's try during the second test, as we can see him run through this huge overlap while Jordan misses the tackle and Mapimpi gets a very well constructed try by his team's spine. We'll continue talking about Lucanio Arm for a wee while longer too, since he's the world's best centre. This clean break we see in the 56th minute was devastating. The pirouette out of Sam Cane's tackle was class, and that was a wonder pass to Mapimpi. The opportunism in South Africa's attack can very much be attributed to Arm. This would have been try of the year if it weren't for Hendricks obstructing Sam Whitelock's ability to complete the tackle. Though South Africa offer an incredibly predictable attack based on a kick chase and carry with the forward strategy, at least their forwards still bind to each other to get go forward. The All Blacks under Foster have never had anything in response until the second test. This near break by Will Jordan in the first test's 47th minute is a pre-rehearsed move that we've previously seen against Ireland, designed to create a mismatch exactly exactly as they did in the third test of that Irish series. Because it worked in this particular case, Jordan scored. This move is called against South Africa as there has just been a 5-man line-out, leaving Malcolm Marx to tackle Savia. With Jordan running on the outside and a tight 5 forward having to tackle Savia, the pass is fired away, but Jasper Wiese, a number 8, knows exactly what is coming as Marx makes the tackle, and Wiese is able to make an easy ankle tap on Jordan, leaving no support to get to the ruck. 2 Springbok defenders are over the ball straight away, while as you can see, Angus Ta'avao just jogs behind Kane towards the ruck. The turnover was not won, but all space was shut down, allowing South Africa to reset their defence. This sees Caleb Clark tackled into touch after a few passes at the very next phase. This same pre-rehearsed move with Jordan running straight after a set play is also tried in the 80th minute before LaRue scores, but fails after a brilliant read by Stephen Kitsoff. In the second test, we saw far better attack from the All Blacks, thanks to a particular player called Richie Mo'unga. My review on the comparison between him and Beauden Barrett aged very well. I kind of like to think that rugby's got 2 different types of first 5. You've got the Mavericks, who don't usually tend to be very good goal kickers, who just want as much ball as possible, and then you have the match organisers such as the Johnny Sextons, Romain Entamax, Owen Farrells, Marcus Smiths and Richie Mo'ungas, whereas on the other side you have the likes of Elton, Yanchis, you have Beauden Barrett, you have Finn Russell, and you have the likes of Louis Carbonell, who remains uncapped I believe for France, but has become very famous for particular antics on the pitch. Having a game management 10 was massive for the All Blacks, and it really made a huge difference in that second test, and I'm going to show you why to continue on our attack. The first major attack by the All Blacks in the second test begins with Scott Barrett as first receiver. He's in a 4-man flat pod. They're using the 4-2-2 structure again, and he's there with Sam Whitelock, Samisoni Taukei'aho and Tyrell Lomax. He whips out the back to Mo'unga though, who is calling the shots. With Khaleesi in striking distance to charge a kick down, Mo'unga goes backwards 1 player, and because the All Blacks have been selecting a second 5 at 12 this decade, rather than an inside centre at 12, completely different positions who can wear the same jersey, Havili is coming in as a crucial 5th kicker for their backline. With Frizzell there as a blocking option, Havili smashes a cross kick downfield for Ardie Savia, and in just the 4th minute of the second test, Savia is able to catch the ball with a massive amount of space in front left by South Africa's 2-man backfield cover. While Clark takes Savia's place as a clean-out option in the ruck, Savia is able to make a 44-metre gain, as Savia was originally there as a single-player pod. This attack is highly successful. It gives the All Blacks a 1-man advantage after Damian Willemse is yellow carded. With Mo'unga in at 10, we saw a backline with far better cohesion due to their improved communication. All 4 of their second test tries from David Havili, Samisoni Taukei'aho, Scott Barrett and Sam Cane were simply just cases of ball recycling and talking between teammates, something that we just do not see enough of with Beauden Barrett at 10, although everyone's always happy to see his highlights. The most obvious difference between the 2 teams, however, is that one contests the opponent's rucks. You can figure that out by looking at the stats. As you can see, the South Africans got 95% of their own rucks in the first test. For the All Blacks, that was 91%, whereas in the second test when the All Blacks won, they had a higher ruck percentage. It's also pretty easy to tell your team doesn't have the best ruck speed when a single player, Malcolm Marx, wins 5 turnovers in his 50th test match. A deficient ruck win percentage has happened in 4 of the All Blacks' last 5 losses, whilst it also happened against South Africa when they lost to them at the Gold Coast in 2021. A deficient ruck win percentage has contributed towards 5 of Ian Foster's 8 losses as the All Blacks head coach. yet everyone points the finger at Havili and Mo'unga for all of our losses. To showcase the damage done by our opponent's higher ruck win percentage, we go back to Mbabella Stadium in just the 4th minute. Hendricks passes off the base of the ruck to Visa, who is a one-man pod. Whitelock is in perfect position to enter the ruck after Taukei'aho tackles Visa, but is cleared out by Armorville players, while Ta'avao lacks the fitness to even get close to the ruck, leaving Khaleesi as just a single Springbok over the ball. With Kane guarding the fringes instead of competing for an easy turnover, Hendricks is given clean ball to pass as Taukei'aho rolls away. This clean ball allows for Pollards to set the attack as a tactical decision maker, passing on to Dialendi, who gets it away to Willemse. With no forwards around to tackle, Barrett flies up for the intercept before changing his mind and doing the right thing to tackle Aronza. Aronza does not score, but this play has generated an easy 20 metres for South Africa. The next play, however, once again shows our ruck deficiency. After a goal line dropout, Willemse offloads to Aronza again. Akira Ioane steps in to make the tackle after Aronza beats 2 defenders. Once again, we see Scott Barrett and Sam Cane standing away from the ruck, while Ta'avao is still running back onside, allowing Hendricks clean ball once again. After a few passes, Makazole Mapimpi also gets incredibly close to scoring, once again thanks to the All Blacks' lack of presence at the ruck. A free-flowing South African attack was also able to continue in the second half. Here we have Hendricks passing clean ball in the 58th minute, while the entire All Blacks front row of Bauer, Coles and Lomax are quite literally just standing there. Savia makes a tackle on Kitsoff at the next phase, and all 3 of the lazy front rowers just stand there again, while Mbenambi and Mostert bind onto Kitsoff straight as he goes to ground before the ruck is even set. In the 3rd phase of this sequence, Coles is the only of these 3 to attempt a ruck clean, but he is moved off the ball easily. With not a single All Black present at the ruck, Hendricks once again has access to clean ball. The laziness of the All Blacks front row directly leads to a drop goal for Handré Pollard, who pushes the scoreline out of reach. As Justin Marshall, yours truly, said on commentary,
execution to perfection. Handré Pollard, with all of his experience, he had all the time in the world. He knew from the moment that breakdown was there what he wanted to do. No All Black even sensed that was an option, so he had no pressure on him.
Bangs it over!
The All Blacks' performance in the rucks still weren't top notch in the second test, but it was great to see backs get in there to help retain possession. For example, Mo'unga attending the ruck after Caleb Clark's line break in the 27th minute, with Ioane doing some of the same at the next ruck. Fletcher Newell was no speed demon towards rucks on his test debut either, but hey guys, I'm gonna be fair to Newell, his ruck speed definitely was an improvement from Angus Ta'avao's, and that doesn't bode well for the old boy, which is gutting to see, to be honest. What's even more disappointing as well about the All Blacks' lack of enthusiasm at the ruck is we're typically very good at trying to retain ball at our own phases, but obviously we do leave that space for turnovers due to the whole fringe guard nature of Scott McLeod's defence. Now, we're going to contrast what I've just explained to South Africa's ruck speed, beginning from when they have the ball themselves in the first test. In the lead up to Pollard's first penalty goal, Mapimpi beats Will Jordan in the air, with Willemse and Marks at the breakdown less than 2 seconds after Mapimpi lands, whilst Mulherber stands in to guard the fringes. At the very next phase in the 21st minute, Etzebeth fires towards Havili, while Kane is in perfect position to win the turnover after Havili's tackle. He can't get over the ball because a second and a half after Etzebeth lands, Diaga is clearing Kane out, while Inyakani also gets over the ball. Contrast that to Ta'avao and Scott Barrett just standing there. South Africa, throughout their history, has made it a massive deal to win a lot of rucks, and their problems in this facet of the game was probably why Alistair Coetzee improved as their head coach in 2017 compared to the terrible year that was 2016. We're now going to talk about discipline for both tests, As you can see in the first test, South Africa conceded 8 penalties including the red card, whereas the All Blacks conceded 12, so discipline, you could probably make the case argued towards South Africa's favour. You could also argue though that discipline doesn't necessarily matter. Both teams got a yellow card in the second test. South Africa conceded 8 overall, the All Blacks conceded 13 overall, and yet they were still able to win. I can't help but think though that the All Blacks, I guess, were lucky after all the penalties they gave away, as 5 of them were inside their own half during that second test, as you can see in my graph. So that one was rather interesting to have a look at indeed. As you can see, here's all the other set piece stats as well, as South Africa pride themselves on these very much. I do think the second test though would have taught South Africa a lot about how to defend attacks from deep, as the All Blacks were often trying to do that, send Ioane and Jordan up there to kind of negate the rush defence South Africa, Ireland, France and England, amongst other nations, have become so famous for in the last 6 to 7 years or so. So that's going to wrap up my analysis of the two teams throughout the first 2 rounds of the Rugby Championship. It was rather entertaining to watch that second test after the real disappointment of the first. It was a real shame to see what came to the All Blacks in that first test, but everything is okay. We won the second. We'll know if Ian Foster still has his job by the end of this video being edited and published, etc. And so fingers crossed both teams can complete the Rugby Championship on a high note. I still believe South Africa are on track to win this trophy before they inevitably get knocked out in the quarterfinal due to selecting players like Duane Vermeulen, who are just a little bit too old to be playing at test level. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. It's been a real pleasure. Make sure to subscribe to me, like this video, and comment your thoughts on the video as well, as it's been a long time since I last uploaded due to the short film I've been working on. For updates on that, you can visit me on Patreon or Instagram, and obviously every now and again I do get my thumbnails going for Twitter, because it is quite entertaining to, I guess, stir the pot, have a bit of banter, have a couple jokes with you guys and things like that. Much appreciated for the view. Cheers guys, God bless all of you, and I will see you on the next video.